Hello, this is Anton, and today I want to try to answer the question of, can the Max Lumi replace your laptop? Now, for that question, it's going to vary for many different people. It really depends on how you use your laptop and which apps you require on your laptop. But for those who only use their laptop for maybe email, reading documents, browsing the internet, calendar, events type of thing, I definitely think that potentially there is the scenario on where you could replace your laptop using the Max Lumi. But let's walk through a few applications and scenarios on things that you would actually do with a laptop and see how they work on this Max Lumi device. The first thing would be, can you use a physical keyboard and mouse? For this particular question, we'll go into the Bluetooth area here. We'll turn Bluetooth on, and I have prepared the keyboard and mouse device. Let's go ahead and connect those. And we can see here that they're both connected, and we can see the mouse pointer, which pops up here, and we can go through and we can go into an app. Let's actually just go into the notes. You see I'm using the mouse as we do it. Now, one thing that with the Max Lumi that I've noticed here is that you can rotate the orientation. As you saw, I had it in landscape rotation, but for some reason their new notes app only works in portrait. Every time I try to rotate it, it only works in the portrait, the portrait layout. So that's one thing that will not work for you. If you're trying to get it more of a laptop feel and you want to use it in landscape, the notes probably need to be updated. I think it actually worked in the older version. I'll have to double check that, but this should be something that they can fix to make the orientation work here. So if we go to another app, we can go into, let's say, Office, and this will be another thing that we can test and show, something that you would do on a laptop. You would typically work with Office files, Excel spreadsheets, and PowerPoint. And in here, if we go into, let's say, a Word doc, you can actually read Word documents. That's one good thing. If we back out of here, we can add documents and create new documents. So let's go in here and we'll go in and create a blank Word document. That way we can also show the keyboard working. So you do have access to the on-screen keyboard. Typically with a laptop, you would have a physical keyboard. You would not have this option. So if we minimize that, and let's start, this is me typing on the Max Lumi. So we can see we do have access to the keyboard. The mouse also works here as well. You select things here. I can right click and we can see how menu items come up. So all that does work. So for Word, there's a checkbox there that Office apps or Word does work. If we go back, we can show how Excel also works. And I've done a dedicated video for this, so you can go check that video out as well. It gets a little bit more into what works and what does not. So you can see we can type in the cells here. Okay, so Excel documents work as well. And if we go out here, you can also see that you can do PowerPoint as well. So PowerPoint documents work here. Open up PowerPoint. You can go into PowerPoint. We can add, this is a new title. This does work. We can add new slides in here. We can insert, say, shapes. And I'm using the mouse as if I would on a laptop. It is a little laggy. So that's one thing you will have to contend with on this device. It's not as performant, say, as a laptop. It doesn't have that power yet. But if you can deal with the latency that comes with this, again, it works. It is functional, I should say. And it's not terribly laggy or slow as well. It does perform pretty well. And every app will probably perform differently. Kudos to Microsoft. They've really made a good performant mobile application that works well for office use. So we see that the keyboard, the mouse, we have those two input devices. You also have access to Office applications. Let's see, the next thing you would typically do on a laptop is you would browse the internet. So browsing the internet, we do get a default browser here. If we go to a site like maybe Yahoo, something that's going to have images and other content on it. So if we go to Yahoo, we can see that it's not horribly slow. The device is performant. It does have an octa-core processor in it, so it performs pretty well. The browser is pretty smooth. You can see how I'm going here. Of course, there is no color. It's an e-ink device, so that's one thing you're going to have to deal with, is that there are no colors. But you can click into things. They're very readable. The screen is nice and big. The text is nice and big. So browsing around in your browser works fairly well. There may be some sites out there with certain dynamic content that might be a little less optimal for this device, but any text-rich sites that are out there should work fairly well. So we have the browser experience. One thing in this browser experience you're not going to get is access to, say, Chrome extensions. So just understand that. Okay, so we have checkboxes on the browser experience, connected devices for the keyboard input and the mouse. And let's see, another thing that we probably want to access would be videos on YouTube. And without loading YouTube and getting into any video here, I can tell you right now that doing video on this device is not a good use case for this device. The video is typically choppy. You can change it to be more performant with this device. And I said I would not do it, but let's go into YouTube. And let's just do a video here and see how this might look on your device. So here we have this video playing. There's also sound that you can get with the device. Let's go ahead and turn the sound up. So you can get sound. You can see how the video is running. It does ghost a bit there, but the sound comes in pretty clear. The video is not, again, horrible, but if it's something that's really fast paced, you're probably not gonna like the experience much as if you would on a laptop or say an iPad device. You can also see how some of the elements does not show up well. So we'll pause on there. That's the video experience on this device. Compared to a laptop, again, it's not as great, but you do at least have the option to watch videos on here in grayscale. So if we go to the home screen, we've looked at the videos, the Office apps. Again, we've worked with the input devices. Calendar would be another area where if you're using a laptop, you'll probably want to use your calendar to set reminders and things like that. Now, it has a default calendar. It does come with a default calendar on here for memos. But if you want to do any, like, add your Google Calendar, you can go to the Google Play Store and add the calendar in, and it does work. So that's, again, you have access to the Play Store. So similar to a laptop where you will have access to install applications from third-party providers, you do have that ability to do that here. And most of the apps work and work well, except for potentially games. I have not tried games on here yet, but that's something maybe we can, or I can experiment with and then give my feedback on games. So the Office apps work. You have a calculator, so you can do calculations on here. There's a clock, and you can add alarms in here, do timers and stopwatch. So that's available to you. There is a gallery where you can look at photos on your device as well. Let me see. You have access to other apps like the Kindle Reader and Notion. Maybe Notion would be another app that you use on a regular basis on your laptop. You do have, it does work pretty well in here. I don't use a lot of images, so that again could be an area where it might fall down a bit and not be as performant as you want on a laptop. Notion in itself is somewhat slow when you're when it's refreshing the content. So, but once it's refreshed, then it typically works pretty well, and it's cached here in the application, and it performs pretty well. So we can see here that it does work. You also get the split screen use case here, where we can split the screen, and we can either work in say a Notes app, Notion, and any other application that's on this device. So it's not limited to just the Notes app or one particular app or two. You can get any other app here, and you can do a split screen view on it. So we can go into the Notes here, where you can do the split screen, or any other bookmarks here, or not bookmarks, but documents that are in your library. You can also bring those up as well. And we can see I'll bring up a PDF here. So in here we have Notion, we have a PDF, and this could be any two apps that you want to have side by side. So somewhat multitasking, you can have that going on, and that works pretty well. Okay, so if we go back home here to the home screen, we can get into recent applications. So you can view recent applications. We can close these recent applications so that you optimize your resources on the device. So you do have access to that. And let's see what other things that you could potentially do on a laptop. I think we've covered most of them here. And say file storage is maybe another one here. So you have access to your library, where you can get files onto this device and also share them out. But you can also add applications from the Play Store like OneDrive and use these here to sync documentations with the cloud and other devices. And also you can get to your content to edit them like in Word and the Microsoft Office application that also works pretty well on this device. Okay, so we have a lot of things working in our favor. The browser experience works pretty well. You have access to the Google Play Store and other apps. You have your calendar, you have calculator. You can look at photos in your gallery, the clock app where you can set alarms and timers. You have access to Notion. You can customize your screensaver as well. Access to cloud storage and other Office applications on this device. And also your Kindle e-reading documentation would be something in addition that you can do on this device that you typically would not do on a laptop, or typically do not see that. On my laptop, I may read PDFs, but any kind of ebooks or long type documents where I need to do a lot of reading over a long period of time, I would typically pick up a e-reader or a tablet to do that. And the last area I'll get into here is the storage. So we talked about cloud storage. You do have local storage, and you are provided with a storage management system here to where you can add folders, delete folders, and so on and so forth, and organize the folder layout and your storage layout however you please. Okay, so after seeing the video, what do you think? Do you think that this Max Lumi device could be a laptop replacement for you? It is able to do a lot of things that you could do on a laptop, albeit it's a little slower and it doesn't have color on it. It could fit the need for a lot of people out there who don't particularly need a lot of speed, who are only doing more content consumption in a text format versus video. You can do some video, but it's not great in that area. It is not a high performance device, so you won't be doing any video editing or any type of pro type things that you would typically do maybe on a laptop, desktop, or even an iPad Pro, where it has a lot of power to run a lot of those video editing and image editing type software. Well, if you thought this video was informative and helpful in any way, please like and subscribe to the channel, and have a good day.